And a great good Wednesday morning to you. This is Coffee Break Reflection. I'm Jerry Scott. And how are you on this middle of the week day? I hope good. Who's on your side? Friend. That word has been redefined in the last decade by social media, I believe. On my Facebook account, I see that I have around 1,800 friends. So, are they all true friends? That'd be a lot of friends, wouldn't it? Many are just acquaintances, people whose names I know, or people with whom I have been professionally connected in the past. Are they really friends, however? Well, no. Only a few dozen are people that I know that I could call in a crisis or with whom I share life, which is really how I define a friend. How I am thankful for real friends. Who I am today is the result of connections with so many people through the years. Some were part of my life for a season. Others have remained friends for a lifetime. Some are close to me personally. Others are close to me only through ministry connections and partnerships and doing the work of the church. My great prayer is that I am contributing to the lives of others as richly as so many have contributed to mine. A key to success: who are your friends? There's a friendship recorded in the Bible that moves my emotions when I read about it. It's the record of David and Jonathan. Most of us know nothing of Jonathan, but we know a lot about David's exploits. David was the shepherd boy, a peasant whose encounter with Goliath, the Philistine champion, made him famous in ancient Israel when he was still a teenager. He was called into King Saul's residence where he played the harp and sang to soothe the king, but he also continued to gain fame as a military leader. As David's reputation increased, the people sang of him in the streets, and the jealousy of the king drove the man literally mad. Enter Jonathan, crown prince of Israel. Without Jonathan, it's a great possibility that David wouldn't even have survived. Jonathan, though he knew David would take his place someday as king, was a true friend. We learn this of their first encounter in 1 Samuel 18. When David finished talking with Saul, he met Jonathan, the king's son, and there was an immediate bond of love between them, and they became the best of friends. When Saul grew increasingly irrational, he spoke of killing David. Jonathan, though he had much to gain by David's death, risked his father's wrath by telling David about the plot. We read this in 1 Samuel 19. Now Saul urged his servants and his son Jonathan to assassinate David. But Jonathan, because he was a close friend of David, told him what his father was planning. Tomorrow morning, he warned, you must find yourself a hiding place out in the fields. I'll ask my father to go out there with me, and I'll talk to him about you, and then I'll tell you everything I find out. Later we read that the prince confronted his father with an impassioned defense of David. He says, don't let the king do wrong to his servant David. He's not wronged you. What he has done has benefited you greatly. He took his own life in his hands when he killed the Philistine. The Lord won a great victory for all of Israel. You saw it. You were glad. Why then would you do wrong to an innocent man like David, killing him for no reason? Years later, when the Philistines killed Saul and Jonathan in battle, David's response was one of great sorrow, largely because of his love for Jonathan. In 2 Samuel chapter 1, we read, David composed a funeral song for Saul and Jonathan. He sang, your pride and joy, O Israel, lies dead in the hills. How the mighty heroes have fallen. How beloved and gracious were Saul and Jonathan. They were together in life and death. They are swifter than eagles. They were stronger than lions. Probably more significant even than David's funeral song was the fact that he took Jonathan's surviving relatives into his care. In that time, the custom was to eliminate every member of the previous dynasty's family to prevent rebellion and conspiracies from growing, but David embraced Jonathan's family as his own. There's a little phrase that's tucked into one of Paul's letters, the letter to the Philippians, that captures my attention. It's just 2 words. Paul addresses an anonymous friend in Philippi, asking him to help 2 women in the church there to get along. This anonymous person he simply calls my loyal yokefellow. Isn't that a great phrase? My loyal yokefellow. Paul says, you are a friend on whom I can depend, a person of loyalty. You are one who shares the weight of the burden of ministry, my yokefellow. I hope there are people in your life that you can call a yokefellow, and people who would refer to you as their loyal yokefellow. How much richer your life will be. Let me ask some key questions as I start to wrap this up today. Are you a Jonathan to someone, caring and loving, even at great cost to yourself? Do you have a Jonathan in your life, someone who has your best interest always in mind? Are you an opportunistic friend, only befriending those who can bring some benefit to your life? Are you a loyal friend who speaks up in defense of others when gossip arises? Are you a friend for all times, equally faithful when your friend is up and when your friend is down? Solomon cynically declares what we all know. In Proverbs, he says, wealth brings many friends, but a poor man's friends desert him. What a contrast to the true friendship. He says this, a true friend loves at all times. A brother is born for adversity. Proverbs 17:17. Ah, yes, friend, there is a Jonathan for you. Finding a friend requires risk, openness, giving friendship. Never forget the most loyal and true friend we have, Jesus himself. He knows you best, loves you most. Anchor your heart in that love. Be secure in him. It'll make you a better friend to others. Word from the Word as we close today comes to us from Ecclesiastes, the book of the preacher. May these words inspire us to seek friends and to be a true friend. Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse 9 says 2 people can accomplish twice as much as one. They get a better return for their labor. If one person falls, the other can reach out and help. But people who are alone, when they fall, they're in real trouble. On a cold night, 2 under the same blanket gain warmth from each other. How can one be warm alone? A person standing alone can be attacked and defeated, but 2 can stand back to back and conquer. 3 are even better, for a triple braided cord is not easily broken. What a good word. Father, I thank you for friends. I thank you for those that I've known through my life that have made life so much richer, who have been such a key to the joy and happiness that I've found. I pray, Lord, that I'll be a good friend. I pray for those who are listening this morning that you would give them close friends and teach them how to be a good friend. Multiply our efforts as we build those connections to which we are called. Thank you for this day and its opportunities. Keep us in your grace, I pray, and help us to love well, to live well. For Jesus' sake, in his name I pray. Amen. Thanks for being with me this morning, friends. Always a joy to bring Coffee Break your way. Hope to see you on Friday morning. And until then, I urge you as always, walk with Jesus.